Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another episode of News Dose, where I give you all of the latest gaming news. And if you thought Xbox was finished acquiring game studios after they announced the massive Bethesda acquisition, well, you're probably wrong. It looks like they're not exactly finished, so stay tuned for that. Also, fans don't seem to be too happy with PlayStation right now for another decision that they've made with the PlayStation 5. So stick around and we will talk about that as well. But today was pretty busy, so let's take a look at some of the other things that are happening in the gaming world first, starting off with Blizzard. So Blizzard is a beloved developer in the industry for working on some of the best games ever made. I mean, we're talking about World of Warcraft, StarCraft, Diablo, and Overwatch, so they have made some great games in the past. But they have gotten a lot of criticism in recent years, and some believe that Activision may be changing their culture just a little too much. Well, the former CEO and co-founder of Blizzard, Mike Morhaime, has went on to make his own game company, Dreamhaven. He has brought several key members from Blizzard over with him, and while the teams are currently small, they will have two studios with a lot of talent. Now, there hasn't been any official game announced just yet, but it could be a game company worth paying attention to in the future. And with them being completely independent, we could see some really interesting games come from them. Maybe we could see some more games like StarCraft and Diablo. That could make a lot of fans very happy, especially ones who has lost a little bit of trust with Activision Blizzard. Now, we also got some Nintendo news today with not just one game, but two. I know some Nintendo fans are still not exactly satisfied with the holiday lineup for the Switch, but Bravely Default 2 just got rated in Australia, which is very interesting in terms of timing. This isn't always the case, but a lot of the times when these games get rated, an announcement is often imminent where we get an official release date. As an example, this just happened with Demon's Souls last month, and now we know that's a PlayStation 5 launch game. So Bravely Default 2 could be making its debut on the Switch sometime this holiday, which would make sense. It did get a demo earlier this year, so I think that this could end up happening. The reason it's such interesting timing though is because TGS 2020 will be taking place over the next couple days. So we could get an official announcement at TGS for Bravely Default 2. Square Enix will be there, so you might want to keep an eye out for that, and if you do miss it, of course I will keep you updated on that. As for this other game, Nintendo accidentally leaked their own first-party game, Kirby Fighters 2. They apparently leaked it through an image, and fans were kind of confused when they first saw this picture. Many didn't even know that there was a first game, so this isn't really a super well-known game or anything like that, but this could be a really cool Switch title. Kirby Fighters is kind of like an arena brawler, almost like Super Smash Bros. Not quite the same, but Kirby Fighters 2 could automatically become a really good local multiplayer game. The question is, where are they going to announce Kirby Fighters 2? They could just end up doing a shadow launch because it's not a major game or anything like that, but I would expect some kind of an announcement rather soon if that's the case. They could also be planning a Nintendo Direct over the next couple weeks. I did just speculate yesterday that Doom Eternal will be popping up sometime next month for the Switch, but I think that will be a third-party showcase. Who knows though, but it does look like Kirby Fighters 2 is a real thing. Moving on, we got some new details on Elden Ring. Now, this is a game that has kind of disappeared this year. I feel like I've predicted it to be in almost every Xbox showcase to this point, but still we haven't exactly seen what this game is yet, other than that From Software is working on it, and they collaborated with George R.R. Martin, who is most popular for his Song of Ice and Fire series, aka Game of Thrones. Well, in a recent interview about Sekiro, Miyazaki did talk a bit about Elden Ring. He did mention that it has an open worldness to it with wide open areas to explore, and that staff from Game of Thrones has been helping out with Elden Ring. That is kind of vague, so he could just be talking about George R.R. Martin, but if there are even more Game of Thrones staff helping out, that would be really exciting. It's really this next part that's so interesting though, because he also talks about how it is a very painful drama, and that there are themes of citizenship, racism, and politics. This kind of goes to show you that George R.R. Martin may have actually had a pretty big influence on this game. Honestly, there aren't many games that I get very excited for without seeing the gameplay first, but Elden Ring does sound great on paper, so hopefully it's as good as it sounds. We just really need to see this game, so hopefully we don't have to wait for too much longer. Speaking of Xbox though, they've had an interesting 24 hours. I kind of explained yesterday's pre-orders as an organized mess. I mean, sure, they did give us a time and everything like that to pre-order these consoles, but retailers just could not handle the incoming traffic at all, and getting your pre-order to just process was a huge frustration. There was some amusing news that popped up afterwards though, as it appears that the Xbox One X saw a 700% increase in orders on Amazon. Yet from the sounds of it, it looks like a few people were confused about the Xbox One X and the Xbox Series X, and sadly there are going to be some upset people when they figure out their brand new Xbox isn't a brand new Xbox. Now do keep in mind that Microsoft did discontinue the Xbox One X 2 months ago, so this won't be an ongoing issue. In fact, the Xbox One X reportedly has been hard to find recently, so a 700% increase may not be as high as it sounds, but without a doubt some people were still getting confused on Amazon. Xbox has always kind of been criticized for their naming methods, but I'm sure with time and the right amount of marketing, people will eventually learn, but thankfully Xbox did discontinue the Xbox One X. Now they just need to do that with the Xbox One S. There is some good Xbox Series news here though, as early adopters will have a great new game to look forward to. The PC hidden gem Bright Memory is now slated to be a launch title for the Xbox Series on November 10th. Now this is Bright Memory, not to be confused with Bright Memory Infinite, which will be releasing in 2021. Bright Memory was the first episode which released on Steam in 2019 by just one developer. Infinite though is a remake and a significant expansion on the first episode. More or less, it sounds like a direct sequel, which will likely really take advantage of those Series X features like ray tracing. I still cannot believe this game was made by just one person, but fans seem to love Bright Memory as it has a 91% approval rating on Steam and a game that early adopters of Xbox Series might want to check out on November 10th. The big news this week though really has been that Microsoft acquired Bethesda. It's been a few days since that acquisition and I still cannot believe it. I would have never imagined that a publisher of this size and pedigree could be acquired. But you know, Microsoft has the money to make things like this happen. Now Xbox looks like it could be a juggernaut next generation, especially if they decide to make games like The Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield an Xbox console exclusive, which I do think that they'll do. It just makes too much sense for them to leverage these games to have consumers buy into the Xbox ecosystem and Xbox Game Pass. They are going to let Bethesda remain independent of Microsoft's culture and give them creative freedom, which is what they've done with all of their previous acquisitions. But Xbox still has the final say on where their games will go, and outside of Minecraft, which was already available on other platforms when they acquired them, all of their other studios have worked on Xbox console exclusives. The thing is, according to Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, they aren't finished making gaming acquisitions and said that they will consider making more in the future. With that said, that doesn't mean anything will happen immediately, but it also doesn't sound like that they're going to just stop either. Satya Nadella did say you can't just wake up one day and say, let's build a new studio. To be fair, they have been building new studios as well, such as The Initiative, World's Edge, and Playground Games' second studio, but it really seems like what they're doing is taking talented studios and then expanding upon those. That's what they have done with every single studio that they've acquired so far. The question on everybody's mind, though, is who could Microsoft target next? Well, now that they've acquired Bethesda, I'm not really sure that we can rule out anything. I think logical fits are studios like Asobo and Don't Nod, but as we are seeing, Microsoft knows how to throw curveballs. If anything, I think that this is the most dangerous Xbox has ever been, and for the first time ever, they have the full backing of Microsoft. I know Xbox fans praise Phil Spencer, but the unsung hero here really is Satya Nadella, which is allowing Xbox to grow at a very rapid pace. These two have been absolutely huge for Xbox. And I've been saying it for a long time, but Xbox has a very bright future. I will ask you though, if Xbox does try to acquire another studio, who do you think they'll target next? Let me know in the comments below. On to our last topic. PlayStation has now officially confirmed that the Spider-Man remaster will not have a free upgrade for the PlayStation 5. In other words, if you own Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4 and you want to upgrade it, you will have to buy the Miles Morales Ultimate Edition for $70, which is a very interesting decision. Now, they're not selling the Spider-Man remaster as a standalone game either, but rather it's being bundled into the Ultimate Edition of Miles Morales. You can instead choose to buy the launch edition for $50, but that will not include the Spider-Man remaster, which essentially means the only way to play this game will be to pay $70. Yet fans aren't exactly thrilled about that, especially when so many developers right now are offering free upgrades. This is a bad look for Sony, especially when their biggest competitor is really trying to emphasize these free upgrades. Now, to be fair, if you buy Miles Morales on the PlayStation 4, you can upgrade that for free on the PlayStation 5, but still that's not what fans want to hear. This is kind of the same situation with 505 Games and Control, where they said it was impossible to give out a free upgrade for the next generation version. Though funnily enough, they did just that on accident, but fans aren't happy about that either. This just kind of adds to several odd decisions by Sony here recently. They have been called out for lying about cross-generation games, being misleading with third-party timed exclusives, raising game prices, especially in some countries, but now they're also not offering a free upgrade for their already loyal PlayStation fans who bought Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4. It's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but I do think that it can cause Sony to lose some goodwill with their fans, as there has been a sequence of decisions like this. It is what it is, but if you do want to play that Spider-Man remaster, do keep in mind that you need to get the Miles Morales Ultimate Edition. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.